So this is the Muddy Fox single speed slash fixed gear bicycle. I did a initial review when I first got this bike. That was a few weeks ago. Since then we've put over 700 kilometers on the bike. That's verified on Strava. I want to let you guys know how the bike's going and the modifications I've made. Bike's running absolutely brilliantly. I really rate steel frame bikes, especially for the sort of riding I do all around town. I do Deliveroo and UberEats on this bike, so I spend quite a lot of time on it each day, just riding around. So steel frame's great. In my opinion, it absorbs the bumps. It's not as buzzy as cheap aluminium frames are. Cheap aluminium frames are, you get a lot of vibration going through them. You can get good expensive aluminium frames where they iron out those problems, but cheap steel is better than cheap aluminium in my opinion. So bike's running great. The wheels have picked up a very slight buckle, more so the back one. I mean, they weren't great out the box. It's only a cheap bike, only cheap wheels, obviously. They were only true to about 1 millimeter when I first got the bike. Back one's probably about 2, maybe 2.5 millimeters. So it's picked up about 1 millimeter of a sort of buckledness to it, which, it's not the end of the world. This is a workhorse bike. I may or may not, get the spoke wrench out and adjust it out, or it's a bit of workhorse. Maybe I'll just leave it. Who knows? It's probably only keeping the wheels true is only a job I'm going to likely do maybe once every 6 months, maybe once a year, maybe never. Who knows? I mean, it's not that bad anyway, and it's crashed through some horrendous potholes. Northampton, UK is pretty bad for potholes, so I've crashed through some real big potholes. I'm surprised the wheels have even stood up as good as they have. Let's look at the modifications I made. So these are the Clark's brake blocks. These are Clark's CPS 240s in 55 millimeters. I bought 2 pairs of these. They were $11.99 for 2 pairs. So that's front and back on Amazon, which was a great deal. It's a safety point. We're riding this thing, in the wet, through traffic, around cars that are trying to knock you off. So having the ability to pull the brake levers, wet or dry, and know the bike's going to stop. They've made a huge difference to that. The standard pads were pretty hard, like most cheap bikes have, quite hard brake blocks as standard. Obviously these Clark's ones are going to wear out quicker because they're softer, but I'm happy to replace brakes more often, but with the added benefit of the safety factor, knowing when you pull the brake levers the bike's going to stop. Next modification I made was the tyres. These are Lifeline Essential Roads. They're from Wiggle. They cost $8.99 each, so that's what, $17.98 for front and back for a pair of them. I also upgraded the inner tubes. There wasn't really a need to upgrade the inner tubes. I mean, the bike comes with 28C tyres, although the tyres on there look more like a 25 to me. They look more like a 25, but they had 28C on the side anyway, so the inner tubes would have been fine at 28C. I actually turned out to be a bit of a nerd, and I weighed the standard inner tubes, and I weighed the new ones I got, and it was something ridiculous, like 10 grams lighter. So, it's an 11.7 kilograms bike, but cycling, if you can shave 10 grams, you do it. I know it's a bit nerdy, it's a bit geeky, there's no actual real world performance gain, but I got carried away in the moment, so I put this very slightly lighter inner tubes on it. Hey, that's cycling, right? So if you can get cheaper parts, you get cheaper. If you can get lighter parts, you put the lighter parts on. So the next upgrade I made was the oval chainring. This is from AliExpress. It's the Light Pro 45 tooth oval. It looks nice. I mean, I seem to have less fatigue on it. It's probably placebo. I don't know. I've read all the research on oval chain rings. It's out there. Some people rave about them. Now this has gone oval, I'm probably going to put my mountain bike on oval as well. I mean, I have noticed less fatigue, but it could be placebo. Anyway, it looks nice on there. It's red, so I'm happy with it. That was only £13.55 from AliExpress. As I say, I modified the handlebars. I wasn't really happy with the standard handlebars. There's nothing really wrong with them, but just the original handlebar, well, the front of the stem was basically just a 2-bolt one. So there's a bolt there and a bolt there, not like 4-bolt like this one. I mean, that's more like kids' bikes and it's a cheap bike, so that's why I had that type of stem on there. But I've had those in the past, even as a kid. Sometimes you drop those bikes, and if it's just a 2-bolt one, if you drop the bike and it gets a big hit on the side, I've had those in the past. Because as a kid, they just come loose. So, I'm just really kidding myself. There was no real need to upgrade it, but I really like these handlebars. So these are the Giant Connects cross-country mountain bike handlebars. I've actually cut 5 centimeters off because I wanted a narrower set of bars. So I've taken 5 centimeters off each side, and it's also the giant stem on there as well. Obviously with the quad lock, you're doing delivery, you need your phone mounted on there. But it looks nice. So they're flat bars, like straight flat across. The other ones are slight risers. I like the clean look to these. It's very slightly lighter. It's a better stem. It's a better set of handlebars. So I'm happy with it. I like the way it looks. So overall, that is my Muddy Fox single speed. I've only ever run it on the single speed. I've never spun the rear wheel onto the fixed gear side. I'm more of a single speed fan. I've ridden fixed gear in the past. It's not really my cup of tea. Maybe I'll experiment with it, but not really for Deliveroo. With the oval chainring, I've had the chain come off a few times. When I initially set it up, I was running the chain basically too slack, because obviously if you're running an oval on a single speed, you don't have a chain tensioner, you don't have a derailleur. You can run a chain tensioner, but I don't. If you get the chain tension right, basically the chain won't jump off. But obviously, in that position on the cranks, it's at its tightest, and when the pedals are at the other angle, it gets to its loosest. So it's just one of those. It's just tweaking it. It's just tweaking it. Know your bike, get used to it, and you'll be fine. It's just a few little teething problems. It dropped the chain 2-3 times, and just put the chain back on. And now I've got the chain tension at a real sweet spot. It's done a few hundred kilometers, and it hasn't dropped a chain since. So that's the overall look at the Muddy Fox. Dog is mediocrely happy with the Muddy Fox. Maybe it's more of a Colnago fan, who knows. But anyway, let me know if you got this bike. Let me know how you're getting on with it, what upgrades you've made. I'm basically going to electrify this bike now. So we've got the kit to electrify it. So I'm going to put the electric front hub on it. Got a 250 watt, so that's UK road legal motor to go on there. Battery's going to be mounted on a rear rack at the back. That's why I wanted to do this video now. I was going to do the review at 1,000 kilometers or maybe even 1,000 miles. But this bike's going to go on and on. It's not the best quality. The frame's a little bit rusty. When I took the seat post out, when the bike was basically brand new, there's some very light corrosion already starting inside the frame. But it's a cheap bike, for £130, even if it only lasted you 1 year and you basically had to throw it in the bin after that, it's still cheap. If you're a student, if you're looking to do Deliveroo, if you just want a cheap way of getting around town, you can't beat this. No derailleurs to get smashed. It's super easy to maintain. Anybody can maintain a bike like this. So it's basically just brake adjustment, occasionally adjusting the tensioner, maybe the odd puncher. You don't have to do any of the upgrades I've made. I've just made them because basically I'm a bit of a bike nerd, and I wanted to make my bike a little bit different. It's mostly for the oval chainring, changing the handlebars. Brake pads are probably a good one, and the tyres, I feel a bit safer on them. Just bikes with really, really cheap tyres. They're hard. They're made out of really rubbish quality rubber, or maybe not even rubber, maybe just some sort of synthetic plastic. But yeah, so the tyres are a bit more safe. And I did actually get a puncture on the original tyres. The only times I've ever had punctures are running super, super cheap tyres. £8.99 is cheap for a tyre, but I still consider these good tyres. Touch wood, hopefully won't get many punctures with them. But when I've ridden in the past, other really, really cheap bikes, I don't know, for some reason those really cheap tyres just seem to pick up punctures really quite easily. So it's worth the upgrade, £8.99. At the end of the day, this is a business, this is my office, so this is for Deliveroo, UberEats. Just upgrading to better brakes, tyres, it's all worth it. Basically, if you're doing Deliveroo, you don't want any downtime. You don't want to be phoning rider support saying you can't make a delivery because you got a puncture or something like that. So that's it. Let me know if you got this bike. Let me know how you're getting on with it. Overall, it's brilliant. Absolutely rate it. For £130, you can't go wrong. Obviously, there's much better bikes out there. There's much better Fixies and single speeds out there. But for £130, it's brilliant, and it'll give you some money to customise it however you want. Put an oval chainring on there, change the handlebars. So if you have any questions, let me know. But overall, thumbs up for the Muddy Fox single speed.